And good evening. Welcome to Territories Talk once again. Territories Talk was founded online 4 years ago by persons in the Virgin Islands, Bermuda Islands, and Cayman Islands as a way to bring the overseas territories closer by allowing us to talk about what's going on our respective islands and share this with the people across the region. We have now expanded a bit where we are now broadcast in several different islands. And today we have a special guest from the Turks and Caicos Islands, which is one of the overseas territories of Bermuda. Oops, sorry, overseas territories of Britain. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on a very special guest from the Turks and Caicos Islands. Good evening, Minister. How are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
Hello.
Can you can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, Minister. Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful, wonderful. How are you doing?
How are you? I'm blessed. And uh, Honorable Minister Kyle Knowles, I want to welcome you to Territories Talk.
Thank you for having me.
And, uh, and shout out to our viewers in the Cayman Islands, Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac.
Thank you guys
So,
for
and
for
greetings from.
tuning in.
Mhm. Yeah, can you hear me, Minister?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, so you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people of the region, please.
So thank you once again, my friend, for inviting me. My name is Kyle Knowles, Honorable Kyle Knowles, the Member of Parliament in the Turks and Caicos Islands for the Whelan and West Caicos constituency. And as everyone would have been paying attention would have known, we would have recently gone through a general election, and upon being successful in that general election, I am now the new cabinet minister for the Turks and Caicos Islands government, in that of the Minister of Health and Human Services.
All right, thank you. So what we're gonna do, just for those who don't know, there are some who don't know, we're gonna go through a little small history lesson of the Turks and Caicos Islands.
Um, well,
So tell us about this flag.
so Turks and Caicos Islands, of course, is one of the British overseas territories. Um, as a one of the smaller country states, we would have been moved around or underneath a number of countries over the years, be it that of Jamaica, I think that of the Bahamas. But with all of those countries going independent, um, we decided to remain on our own as it pertains to the flag, which is similar to with the majority of all of the other OT flags. There has the Union Jack in the corner, as well as the shield, I should say, that represents Turks and Caicos in its truest form, which would be the conch, the spiny lobster, and the Caicos cactus. All of those symbols are key, or are very substantial when you think about Turks and Caicos and who we are as a people. And there's much more than we could elaborate on, but that's just a small snippet of who we are as a people. Very loving, very caring, um, and one like yourself who's been here before too, you can attest the hospitality of our people.
Yeah, most definitely. Literally the minute I stepped off the plane, a brother picked me up in the vehicle and he was talking. I was like, Yo, bro, you from Bermuda? Like, he's like, you don't have to. I said, you sound awfully lot like Bermuda. So we'll go into why he sounded a lot like Bermudians, right?
Mhm.
So this is Turks and Caicos Island. You mind, for those who haven't been there, or some who haven't been there, how many islands are there in the Turks and Caicos Island?
You caught me off guard. I remember the number. I was thinking something else, but what I will tell you is that with the inhabited islands of the Turks and Caicos, Providenciales, North Caicos, Middle Caicos, Parrot and Pine Key, Ambergris Key, South Caicos, Saul Key, Grand Turk. Grand Turk is the capital of the Turks and Caicos Islands. And if you would see from the map itself, Grand Turk is off to itself, and of course you'd have to go through the Cape Turks Passage or the Cape Turks Passage to get to Grand Turk. So many of us who would reside in Providenciales, from a legislative standpoint, would have to travel to Grand Turk for the House of Parliament.
Mm,
But there are
all right.
a number of keys, that make up the Turks and Caicos Islands, and I can't forget West Caicos. West Caicos also falls into a part of my constituency as well. Um, but most importantly, it's not an inhabited island at the moment. There was supposed to be some development on West Caicos, but that in itself has been postponed for some time. But at some point in the near future, we hope to see movement on West Caicos as well.
Okay. And where would you say is the most populated island?
Well, Providenciales right now is the most populated island, and strangely enough, yesterday was the first time in a very long time that we'd had international airlift going into another island, which would have been South Caicos, which we normally call the Big South. So now there's a direct flight from Miami straight into South Caicos, so we can definitely look forward for more movement, I would say, from the tourism and local standpoint in South Caicos. And rest assured, North Caicos and Grand Turk, in the near future, should see some additional movement as well. So we're looking to spread some of this tourism wealth around the island so that everyone can have a piece of the pie.
Okay, so you can actually brag that you have two international airports.
We have, I think, all our airports have international status, if I'm correct, because we have an airport in North Caicos and an airport in Middle Caicos as well.
Oh, okay. My
Yeah.
bad. Sorry, I've only been to one. All right, so let's move on a little bit. Tell us about this building. Tell us a little bit about this building.
This is one of the historic buildings that is located on the island of Salt Key. Um, I was actually in Salt Key a few months ago, and when I saw it, it isn't in the pristine state that the picture has it. But it is definitely an historical landmark, and it's a Bermudian built structure, if I'm correct. A lot of the islands, especially the Salt Islands in the Turks and Caicos, the architecture is that of similarly of that to that of Bermuda. So you can attest to the structure of the buildings, the layout of the buildings, and what they were constructed for. So that if I can pivot a bit here, it speaks to the connection that Turks and Caicos has through the salt industry, through the movement of people, its descendants, to that of Bermuda.
Let's talk a little bit about human history. So I'll just superimpose it. When I was going to school, high school, they told us a little bit about comedians got comedians got sold from an island down south, and that's all they told us. They didn't elaborate how we got this sold.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is that Bermudian, that's for lack of a better term, slave owners in Bermuda left from Bermuda in the 1700s, and they discovered this chain of islands down south, and they saw they had soap, and they was like, soap, we make a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of work to rake this soap. How we gonna figure that one out? Ah, I know. Let's go bring the slaves that we got from Bermuda and bring them down to these islands and get them to do the work for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that in the sense to say the people that you see in the picture, nobody knows who they are, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a 99.99% chance they all came from Bermuda originally.
Mm-hmm.
So in Turks and Caicos, you have certain surnames that are very common, such as Tobit, such as Bean, such as
Mm-hmm.
Darrell, such as
Mm-hmm.
Butterfield.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting close? Such
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
Frith,
Mm-hmm.
right? Such as
I think
Mystic,
I think Ewing
such
as
as
well.
right Ewing.
Mm-hmm.
All of those persons can trace their heritage back to Bermuda. Every
Mm-hmm.
last one of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a without a shadow of a doubt Bermudian names. So the original post the Lucayan Indians who the Spanish killed off, the first inhabitants of the Turks and Caicos Island were Bermudians, whether they be white, black, mixed, whatever. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That so yeah, this is a message from one of my cousins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to say that Bermuda, although we are maybe, I don't know, 600-700 miles apart, Bermuda and Turks and Caicos Island are historically linked in more
Yeah.
ways than one.
Yes. Yes. Which is true.
Um,
Which is true.
yeah, so for further proof, this is a Turks and Caicos Island stamp.
Mm-hmm.
And what does it say, Minister? What does it say at the bottom
It's
left?
the Bermuda sloop.
Right, Bermuda sloop.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is that these sloops were the ones that used to go down to Turks and Caicos Island, take
Mm-hmm.
enslaved Bermudians
Mm-hmm.
down to Turks and Caicos Island to rake the soap
Mm-hmm.
for 6 months at a time. They undertake that soap and they'll sail up to the east coast of America, up to Nova Scotia, and that salt was used to preserve the fish that was being caught along the coastline. Back then, there was no
Mm-hmm.
refrigerators, so how else are you going to preserve meat? The only one way to preserve it is via salt. So for quite some time, that salt was called
Mm-hmm.
white gold. So that was what
Correct.
led to the wealth, right? Let's be frank. That's what led to the wealth of a lot of white Bermudian families was the soul trade from Turks and Caicos. At one point in time, there was a book written. At one point in time, up to 25% of the population of Bermuda had left Bermuda to go to Turks and Caicos Island. So that
Wow.
tells you how intricate link
Wow.
link we are.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
they're the cons.
that's a very interesting fact. Um, and again, it's important, it's important to know these things because you hear about or you see you ponder about the connections that countries have. Um,
Mm.
but it's clear that some documenting of the history was done so that now we can sit here and actually speak about the history that both countries, I would say, share, and how it definitely shaped who we are as a people and how we actually survived. Back then, coming from an enslaved culture, now being able to move freely in our various spaces.
Yeah, it's like your minister of tourism. is Honorable Josephine Connolly, correct?
Well, we have a new minister at the moment.
Oh, sorry.
Since the elections, yes. The new minister is Honorable Shivago Jolly, um,
Okay.
and and what I'll do is, I'll definitely have him come on so he can speak a little bit more because, of course, tourism being the lifeblood of the Turks and Caicos, he will be more than eager to speak to persons about what we're experiencing and where we intend to go over the next few years.
Yeah. Yes. I appreciate that. I appreciate getting all your ministers on over the course of time. The point I was trying to get at was that I went to a course in Canada 2018, and there were people from other islands there. And I'm sitting in front of this lady, and she started talking. I'm looking at the lady. There was somebody else from Bermuda with me. She's now the minister of, similar to you, health minister of child and seniors.
Mhm.
And some this lady talking. We're looking at each other like, "Hey, this lady's Bermudian. Like, how'd she get to this course? Like, all right." So
Mhm.
the lady was talking, so we introduced ourselves, and it's like, yeah, are you Bermudian? Just like, no, I'm from Turks and Caicos. I was like, okay, that solves the problem. So
Yeah.
the Honorable Josephine Connolly, her
Mhm.
accent
Yeah.
is slightly different from yours. Her
Hmm.
accent is 99% Bermudian. There's maybe one or two words that she
Well,
may pronounce
I
different.
can tell you definitely she's from the island of Salt Key, so that can explain it all.
Mhm.
You know.
So when I mentioned, when I said, okay, we're from Bermuda, and she's like, oh yeah, yeah, my family's from Bermuda. Our family were originally her maiden name was Smith. So then she told
Hmm.
me, some of her family that she's related to. And I said, oh, okay, fine. And then a couple years ago, I was somewhere and helping somebody clean the house, and they gave me this old newspaper, and they said, oh, maybe you like. It had a picture, a clipping of Honorable Josephine's sister, who was Miss Turks and Caicos at one point in time, and
Hmm.
she came to visit Bermuda, and she said her name was Smith. I forgot her first name, but she basically said that she came to Bermuda as an official visit, but also to visit family. Um,
Hmm.
your your present premier, Honorable Charles Missick, who just had a birthday. His family is
Hmm.
originally the Durham, and part of his family is the Durham family. And the
Hmm.
first woman who was elected to Parliament in Bermuda, her name was Moro Mystic, right? Although she was a little lighter than your present premier, so you could do the math as to how the name came about. But the point I'm
Yeah.
emphasizing is that we have to do a better job at educating ourselves, number one, and educating the people in Turks and Caicos and the people in
Hmm.
Bermuda as to how closely we are all related, right?
Yes, definitely. And I think sometimes we miss so many opportunities, even outside of the historical ties, just from the fact that we're all in this modern time still um, British overseas territories. That alone links us together. So it's an opportunity for us to dig a bit deeper and to see the depth of the connections that we have.
All right. So I wanna take a moment just to shout out to some folks who I found out I'm related to down there. That's I think they're from Grand Turk, the Garland family
Hmm.
and the Lightbone family.
Okay.
My cousin Desmond Lightbone, he calls me all the time. What's going on? When you coming in, cuz? I was like, I'll be seeing you soon, right? Just want to shout out to them. The what's it? The DeMarco Williams, the assistant,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
must
yeah.
say assistant director of planning,
I think it's
and a few others.
land mapping.
Okay, well, I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
met, but
yeah,
I haven't met him,
yeah.
right? So yeah, so let's make a transition to modern Turks and Caicos now that we've
Hmm.
covered some of the historical parts.
Okay.
So this is your slogan, tourism slogan, beautiful by nature.
Yes, it is. And if one would know that the Turks and Caicos Islands tourist board has now transitioned to the destination management organization, which allows us to look at tourism from a more comprehensive standpoint, branching off and having multiple arms, from the regulatory aspect of things to the marketing, and you name it. So the brand Turks and Caicos is a very strong brand, I would say. It's a brand that can lead to a multitude of different opportunities. Hence the reason we have, um, there's a keen interest in the real estate industry, as well. So we're definitely trending, if I can say that.
Yeah, talking about trending. This was a graph from 2 years ago. I would say it's still kind of relevant. Best
Mhm.
performing destinations January to December of 2023. What is I know they're rating it small, but what is that at the top of the list?
Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos. So somehow or the other, I wouldn't actually for the secret source,
Hmm.
but somehow or the other, Turks and Caicos over the last 4 or 5 years post COVID has become the hottest destination in the Caribbean.
Hmm.
What would you attribute that to?
There's a number of factors. I think, when you think about service delivery, quality of accommodations, affordability, in travel time, access to travel time, uh, an hour and a half from Miami, probably two hours from New York, 2.5 hours, 3 hours from New York. Coming from the Midwest, the whole eastern coastline, having multiple air carriers, all bringing persons and getting them here, so in time for them to still catch some sunshine and sea, coming from those various destinations. And and your product offering has definitely has a factor in that as well. So there are a multitude of different things that contribute to brand Turks and Caicos and the success of the tourism industry. And that's why initially I alluded to that of South Caicos as well, because everything just isn't uh, a result of what Provo has to offer. It's also a result of what North Caicos has to offer, Middle Caicos, South Caicos, Grand Turk, Salt Key. All of them have a unique service, outside of just beach. So we are able to now tap into those various islands and provide an opportunity for Turks and Caicos now to be uh, fully accessible.
Mm, yeah. So one of the things on my when I did visit Turks and Caicos Island was I want to say 2021, and the one of the things that I noticed at the airport was like there was like literally thousands, I won't say thousands, hundreds of people at the airport. The airport was literally overflowing of tourists, right?
Hmm.
And I was like, well, what's the catch? And then later on, I saw I guess you would call this you'll call this what would you call these folks, sir?
Well, that's the Junkanoo group.
Yes, yes. So I saw a bit of the Junkanoo group, which in Bermuda, we have something similar called the Gumbies.
Okay.
And I could see, okay, well, they're coming here, they're falling in love with the culture, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then there was also a friend of mine was taking me around, and he was like, look, a lot of the tourists that come here are not staying necessarily in the hotels,
Hmm.
but a lot of them are renting private villas,
Hmm.
such as this. No, I don't
Yeah,
know
so
where this is. Well, I don't know exactly in Turks and Caicos where it is, but I know it's in Turks and Caicos.
yeah, so we've definitely had a boom in that sector over the last few years, and really is because when you think about how many persons are trying to come to Turks and Caicos, the hotels in itself, there wasn't availability of beds really. So you saw that the Airbnb short-term market, villa market, was very successful with providing beds in that arena. So now you have a wide gamut of different um, villa rental, villa rental options that can go from very affordable to very expensive. So you can almost pick, and decide, and it's widespread. Again, even with the villa market, you have that same concept in the other islands as well. So when you think about villas, you can go and stay at a villa in Grand Turk. You can go and stay at a villa in North and Middle Caicos or in Provo.
And just by chance, do you happen to know what these villas go for?
Oh, you name it. You name the price, we can find you one.
Hmm, okay.
But I know it was rumored, and I don't want to get myself into any trouble. But you can find some in the high six-figure range. You know, if you look hard enough.
Well, trust me, I won't be looking.
Yeah,
You
either
got
five or
motel,
six-figure range. I can tell
you
you the
got,
deal.
you got Motel 6 there?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So tell us a little bit about this place, this
Um,
area.
and for those persons of definitely this is the Grace Bay area. That's the Region Grand. Sorry, the Region Plaza. Uh, it's kind of the center of Grace Bay, of sorts. A lot of business and tourist attractions, restaurants, business houses. It's a real. Um, it's not really downtown per se, but it's turning into a focal point of business and commercial activity in Provo. So, and along that same strip is where you'll find a lot of the hotels as well. So, a lot of different restaurants, pubs, bars, everything that you would want from an entertainment standpoint, you can find on Grease Bay.
All right. Um, so one other thing, what is the population of Turks and Caicos Island present?
Wow, we're actually in a census at the moment, and while the census hasn't been completed, if we were to make a hard estimate or guess, we would say we're probably in the between 50 to 60,000 range. You know,
Okay. This
just because
was
of the population growth that we would have experienced. Yeah, that would have
this.
been in 23. Uh, but I can tell you,
Yeah.
you can see the difference.
So where is the main population growth coming from?
In terms of nationality or demographic.
You tell me.
We
Either way.
do have. It's a why it's a there's a large Haitian population here. There's a large Jamaican population here. There's a large Dominican population here. I think the last count was like we had almost 100, and I can stand to be corrected on this figure as well. About 126 country nationalities represented here. So we do have
Mm,
a very diverse community in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and predominantly you'll find all the larger cohort here in Provo. But it's it just speaks to the level of growth that we're currently experiencing, and the demands on labor and the demands on the workforce. So we're trying our best to manage that as best as we possibly can.
yeah, because last night we had a conversation with someone from Cayman Islands,
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they've seen in the last 5 years is a exponential growth in population. They've gone from 60 early 60,000s to possibly 90,000 persons in the last 5 years, like a
Wow.
50% population growth. So,
Wow.
from an economic point of view, it may be good,
Mm-hmm.
but the problems is that it's now putting strain on the infrastructure for us, traffic jams. It's definitively a strain on affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
Many Canadians can't afford to purchase a home now because the prices have shot up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even for a lot of the guest workers, they have to live in, I guess you would say, um, less than desirable conditions because many of them might be they're not really making a lot of money, but
Mm-hmm.
they have to pay substantial amount of rent. So a lot of them are living together in order to cut down on the individual costs of rent. So I say that in a sense. Do you are you all experiencing any of that in Turks and Caicos Island with your growth in population?
Definitely. You almost spoke. You almost spoke to exactly what we're experiencing in Turks and Caicos, and I think that's one of the greatest challenges that we face. Um, so in that just goes to show you that there's always the good and the bad side to a booming economy, and trying to um, bring some sort of balance to it all, because it has to be properly managed with the current level of infrastructure that we have in place now. And you would find it almost like a competing priority of sorts, where you have a lot of people coming in because you have to fill these jobs, that you're offering. But from a housing standpoint, you find that the housing market, due to the short demand for short-term rental, has isn't able to fill the void for the long-term rentals. So now you have to find out or create a new market for long-term rental, either apartments, housing, some sort of housing opportunities. And that is hard to keep up with, because of course you also have the rising construction costs, right? That you have to navigate through as well. Um, so yeah, so we're definitely having the same challenges.
Yeah, and this is the thing that it's like you're the um you go to a circus, right? You see this guy juggling bowls, and then 1 minute it's just a bowl. Next thing somebody throws him a chainsaw and is juggling the chainsaw. That well, if you catch it, if you catch it, it's fine because it
Hmm.
shows your skill. But if you
Hmm.
miss it, it can end up killing
Yeah,
you, right? So
yeah.
I say in a sense, like a government, you have to juggle balls in the sense that, yeah, you have to have population growth in order to increase your tax base, to pay for social services, pay for the hospital, pay for seniors' pension, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
But once you have this population growth, where are the people going to live? How are the
Hmm.
people going to get to and from work? There's all these
Hmm.
logistics that while you're juggling that, you have to ensure to balance everything out. So you know that's the challenge. That's the as you would say, as some people would say, that's the rich people's. That's the first world problems that we have to deal with, right?
Yeah. Again, there's no real solution to it. I know there might be some person who
Mhm.
might think that there's an immediate solution to it, but when you're on the ground and you're actively engaged with the the citizenry, you get a better understanding of how complex it can actually be. So when it comes to governance, you have to try and, like you said, the analogy of the balancing act. It's definitely one that's going to take a lot of skill.
Mm. All right, so let's move on a little bit to something that takes a lot of skill for you.
Hmm.
Tell us about this place.
My constituency. Yeah.
Hmm.
The funny thing about it is that you enter frontline politics, and you want to do everything that you possibly can to make the lives of your your constituents better. But then you also have a ministerial post as well. So that's where the balancing act comes in for me. Fortunately, I have a team, or I have a base that works along with me, that affords me the opportunity to get some things done, so that we can serve our citizens at the rate that we need to. So the balancing act is great. I can tell you, especially with the second term under my belt, there's even more pressure to get it right and to continue to deliver for my constituents.
So, about how many persons are living in VLAN? Is it VLAN or VLAN? How do you pronounce it in Turks and
We
Caicos?
pronounce it wheeling, right? And
VLAN.
on the my voters list is about 891, but when you think about population, uh, we can easily get to about 3,000.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because your total population is, I'm just using a number, fifty
Mhm.
thousand, but your eligible voters are maybe less than 10,000, give or take,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that speaks, what that actually illustrates is that in Turks and Caicos Island, the majority of people living there ain't from there, as we say in Bermuda. They ain't
Yeah.
from there.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's
So
why, because they're not eligible to vote, right?
correct. Correct.
So recently, you all had something on February 7th. What was that?
We had our general elections, and
Tell us a little bit
it
about
was
that.
it was a very exciting time. The campaigning, it all culminated on the election day, where we exercised our right to vote. And fortunately for us, our party, Progressive National Party, was successful once again.
Hmm. So this is one of your polling stations, I take it?
Yes, this is one of the polling stations. That would be Electoral District 9, which would be Five Keys in Chalk Sound, where the Honorable Rachel Taylor, who is now the Minister of Education, this would be one of her polling stations.
So for our audience sake, how many electoral districts do you have in Turks and Caicos? Because in
So we have.
Bermuda we call it constituencies, but
Yeah,
how
so
many do you
see,
have?
we would say, we would, for electoral purposes, we would call it electoral stations, but we have 10 constituencies, and if for most persons who wouldn't be familiar, we also have, outside of the constituencies, we have what we would call the at-large members. At-large members
Mm-hmm.
are those persons
Whole
who would
island.
run nationally,
Yeah.
and we have 9 of those. We have 9 seats,
Okay.
so altogether we have 19 seats.
So in totality, there are 19 seats in Turks and Caicos, right?
Correct.
Okay. So tell us about a little bit about your party.
Progressive National Party, the party of progress, the party of institution building, the party of securing, or bringing into fruition, the infrastructure, the processes, the policies that will help with the longevity of our people, as a country, and one that makes sure that we prioritize the rights of our people. Um, of course, from the opposition, they would beg to differ, but I believe that our track record, as a government and as a party, speaks to that.
Yeah, because the thing about it, right, is that you all went, if my memory serves me correctly, last election you all won 14 out of 15 seats, correct?
Correct. Hmm.
All right. And this election, you've expanded the amount of seats to
Hmm.
19 seats, and you've won. I'm gonna
16.
say I'm gonna be facetious and say 16 and a half seats you won, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get into that another time.
Yeah. We'll get into that
So
other time.
out of the 19 seats,
Mm-hmm.
the opposition won two.
Yeah.
Independent, quote
Okay.
unquote, independent MP was
Mm-hmm.
successful in one seat,
One
and
seat.
16 seats you all have, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So I think what that clearly says is that the electorate, what that indicates is that the electorate, um, whilst everything may not be perfect, the
Mm-hmm.
electorate clearly have shown their faith in the Progressive National Party over the last two election cycles. No one can argue with that, right?
Definitely, especially with the numbers at the margins that we were able to cover.
Right. I think one seat that you lost by, sorry, let me rephrase. One seat that is in
Yeah,
contention by 4 votes.
it's actually one.
That's honorable. That stops.
Yeah, his seat that was actually by one.
Okay. And a seat that the opposition won was by 4 votes. So
No, no, no.
I'm
We
simply
actually won
saying,
that one. We the one that
well, you
was
want
by
okay.
four. Yeah, we took that one. Yeah, we'll talk about
Okay.
that one. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So we say that for another show. But I say that and you say, and I just want to go back to I just want to go back to one picture because tell us who's this lady on the extreme right.
That would be Honorable Lakira Mizik.
All right. So let me just put a plug in for my friend, my sister, Akira Missy. We were on a parliamentary course in Cayman Islands in 2018. And I see this lady walking across and very polite, and she had some younger parliamentarians or youth parliamentarians with her. And she
Mm-hmm.
was very motherly. So at first I thought, okay, this is the mama, right? And then later on, it was like, no, 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 that's not my mama. That's a sitting MP. I'm like, oh, okay. Either and we went on a radio show together, and ever since then, we helped to start this program. Territories Talk herself, um, Minister Kenneth Bryant, who's Deputy Premier now in Cayman Islands. We
Mm.
helped to start this program. So I want to give a special shout out to the Honorable Akira Mystic, who is ED5 Long Bay,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's won her
Leeward and
seat
Long
four
Bay.
times. Yeah, Leeward and Long Bay. She's won her seat 5 times. Since 2012, she's been successful every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give a special shout out to her, Honorable Otis Morris in the back, Chuck Musgrave, Deputy Premier Jamal Robinson, yourself, and so many others that I've gotten to know over the last few years that have embraced me and other Bermudian politicians, such as as one people, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's go let's go to something else. Tell us about this.
Oh, that was the day of our swearing in. Our cabinet being sworn into cabinet officially.
Mhm.
That was
Okay.
definitely that was definitely a day for the history books.
And why was that?
Because it'd be the first time that we would be the first cabinet members um, to be sworn in. Well, eventually later on in the week to the parliament first, and now the cabinet seats would have moved from 8 ministers to now 9 ministers. So there had been an additional seat in cabinet.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So another day we'll go through the list of ministers, but for time purposes, we'll move on. And so, who's these folks? Who are these folks?
So the lady reading is Governor uh, Delaney Daniel Selvaratnam. She's the governor of the Turks and Caicos Islands, and the gentleman on my right would have been, or my left, sorry, it would be the permanent secretary, Miguel Swan, in the deputy governor's office. And that's actually her reading off my cabinet appointment, my ministerial
Hmm.
appointment, which was very lengthy, by the way.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your capital appointment.
So initially, in introducing myself, I'm now the Minister of Health and Human Services, um, and it's a very large ministry with great responsibility, and it's one that prioritizes the health and welfare, or the health and care, I should say, of our citizens. So there's a lot riding on the policies that we create, the actions that we take, the medical care that we provide, and how we look after our citizens. So there's a lot of work to do in this ministry.
Hmm. And how many, roughly off the top of your head, how many departments fall under your ministry?
I would say about 15 departments, outside of just being head of the ministry, which would be policy and planning as well. So roughly about 15, and then we have about three statutory bodies that we also have under our helm as well.
Very busy.
Yeah, yeah. It, you start off you start off your day dealing with one matter. By the end of the day, you've dealt with 10 or 20 matters.
Mm, okay. All right. All right. So, uh, tell us about this building.
Um, that's the hospital here in Provo.
Mhm.
The general hospital in Provo at the moment. Um, the center of where all of our medical, our public medical issues are addressed, and it's a modern facility that would have come on stream over the last 15 years. Uh, and while nothing is perfect, we're looking continuously at building out capacity within the the hospital arena, and and how we provide or carry out our service delivery mandate. The hospital is There's also a hospital in Grand Turk as well, but again, none of the healthcare or all of the healthcare matters and concerns wouldn't be as successful as they are without the local providers or the local clinics that we also have throughout the islands.
And what is the name of your hospital?
The Cheshire Hall Medical Center.
Okay. And how many, about
Mhm.
approximately how many staff are at the hospital?
Oh man, that's a tough one. To be honest with you, I this is like the fourth week on the job, so I haven't had a chance to run down the full list. But
You you
when
could
you think about the
you could say a lot.
yeah, okay, yeah. Let me if you To answer your question, a lot.
Yeah. Because I had
Yeah.
when I was there in 2021, I had the privilege of meeting I would say forgot the exact title, but Dr. Toussaint Brathwaite. Brathwaite,
I'm
Brathwaite Toussaint.
Dr. Brathwaite Tennant.
Yes, yes, sorry.
Yeah,
I
Dr.
knew.
Denise. Yeah.
Yes, so, and she what one of the things she said is that, and this shows you how interlinked we are, was that during the COVID the lockdowns and so on, she used to tune into our daily broadcast from our health minister talking
Mm,
about the different procedures that we're doing, and they were able to not necessarily copy everything, but some of the procedures they were able to do in Turks and Caicos as well in
mm,
regards to managing the hospital, managing, people getting sick and so on and so forth, right? So
okay.
I say all that to say is that you never know who's watching, right? You don't know who's
Definitely.
what. We don't know who's watching this program. We don't know who, right? But the main thing is to just do the best that we can for the
Yeah.
people, not just of your country, but you're also setting examples for persons in other parts of the region, right?
Yeah, and to your point, it's very important because to the fact that you don't know who's watching. It's important to be informed, well informed about the local affairs of your country, and also aware of what's happening regionally. Because in being aware, there's an opportunity to partner with other Caribbean countries, or to utilize some of the offerings that they would have as well. So it's not as complicated as one may think. It's just about being engaged and taking advantage of whatever opportunities may avail themselves.
Yeah, and I want to just take a shout out to just how you and I even met. If we go back to 2022, I want to say, we
Yeah.
were both invited to Jamaica to speak at the People's National Party conference then, and
Hmm.
there was a group of us from other islands, Bahamas, St. Kitts, Turks and Caicos, Bermuda, that we've under the, I would say, what's the name of our comrade Mama?
Maureen.
Yeah, comrade Mama Maureen, under the tutelage of her. She's kept us close, and
Yeah, she
to say
has. She
like,
has.
listen, you all are the leadership of the Caribbean, right? And
Hmm.
it's important to get to each other and work together. You may not all agree on all the same things. You may have different methodologies in different countries, but
Hmm.
it's all about serving the people. So I just want to give a shout out to her and the working group. They know who
Yeah,
they are.
she's
Brother
definitely
Rob.
like the glue. She's definitely the glue that keeps us together, and always willing to lend a helping hand. So I do, tip my hat to
Mm,
her, because it really takes someone of her stature see to see us as, leaders in our own right, in our various capacities, and knowing that we have something to offer, and to keep us together since 2000 and since 22.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's I wouldn't go too far on it, but she is one of the foremost political knowledge person in the region. If there's anything about politics going on in the Caribbean region, she knows
Hmm.
all the ins and outs, right?
Definitely.
Um, wanna, I want to close off, which segues to something else, where you promised, pinky promise, that you'll get some of your other ministers on, and this is
Hmm.
something that comes from your honorable deputy premier Jamal Robinson, something that a
Hmm.
statement, which I guess, which I wouldn't say I guess, but I would
Hmm.
take a free guess to say that this comes from, is a cabinet mandate. Tell us a little bit about this.
And I think this statement goes back to that of the the growth that we're currently experiencing as a country, and understanding that the Turks and Caicos Islander, or the indigenous Turks and Caicos Islander, if I can say the least, our numbers are small. Um, so there's definitely a clarion call to prioritize the Turks and Caicos Islander across the board. From ownership, to job placement, to prioritizing rights, you name it. That is what they want. And again, it speaks to the executing of processes in a very transparent manner as well. So we for him, I would say, the statement that he would have made is something that we all support, because when we represent primarily for our people, and then for everyone. So it's that in itself is a balancing act, because then you know who your voters are, and then you know who your non-voters are. But they're all citizens of your country. right? So you as a politician, you're mandated to look out for everyone. Um, but rest assured, I believe that
Mhm.
with the young, vibrant, open-mindedness that we have, and of course the steadfast leadership of our current premier, Honorable Charles Washington Mizik, we are poised to do our best in delivering for our people and making sure that they are first.
Mhm. Yeah, and we have to be able to. I mean, okay, there's levels to everything they say, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing called xenophobia, which means you have to look down on anybody who's not from around here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's xenophobia. That's a far right mindset. But you have to prioritize your people, right? When I say prioritize, not like
Mm-hmm.
you're putting somebody else down, but if you, as the elected official, or we as elected officials, don't make priority for our people to get education, to get employment, to get housing, right? Then we fail them, right? And we have to be able to do these things without apology, number one,
Mm-hmm.
right? But with clarity as to why you're doing it, because you don't want to see 10 years from now, Turks and Caicos population maybe, I don't know, 200,000 people, but there's only but 15,000 indigenous Turks, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll be like wiped out, right?
Yeah. So,
And
and again, so sorry, I mean, not to cut you off. I think that's where I always have the conversation about representation. Some persons have to understand that when you think about representation means something different to everyone. Some persons want their representative to be loud and boisterous. Some persons want their representative to be firm and strategic. So when you think about delivering and you think about what that means and making sure that the rights of your people aren't trampled upon, and that they are given an opportunity to be able to voice their opinions freely without victimization from anyone, be it local or non-local. It's really about how do you make sure that you deliver on their behalf.
mhm, yeah.
Mhm.
So this was, as they say, you ever play cricket in London?
They play cricket, but I've never played cricket. I mean, I like to watch. I watch cricket from time to time.
So in cricket sense, you have what we call the opening bat, meaning like you're the first one to go out there and bat. So
Hmm.
I want to thank you for being the opening bat, because I do want to take you up on that challenge of getting other ministers on the show.
Hmm.
Jamal Robinson was on one time, and Honorable Saunders, E.J. Saunders, was on. But I would like to get more of your
Hmm.
ministers on so they can, not just your ministers, but historians. Shout out to Derek Popbean and Grant Turk. He's very well clued into the history between Bermuda and Turks and Caicos. But
Hmm.
we want to just keep this connection going because we have a lot to learn from each other.
Correct.
And as we demonstrated earlier, Turks and Caicos Islanders are Bermudians, right?
And I would even go to the extent and say Bermudans are Turks and Caicos Islanders. So let's see how we can work. Let's see how
Well,
we work that
well,
one
well.
out.
Let's remember that when we start talking about who that soul belongs to, actually, right?
That's a different conversation. Let's.
But anyway, Honorable Kyle Saunders, sorry, the Honorable Kyle Knowles, my comrade, my brother, Minister of Health and Human Services of Turks and Caicos Island. I want to thank you. Thank your wife for letting me borrow you for an hour. And shout out to the people of Wheeland
Hmm.
and West Caicos for re-electing you, having the faith in you, for all the hard work you've done for them over the last few years. So
Oh, man. And
over to
thank you
you, my
very.
brother. You have the final say.
No, man. Thank you very much for reaching out. Definitely always a pleasure to be on a forum such as this, because again your reach on from this platform is far more expansive than one would think. You know, when you think about this show being heard throughout the region, it's definitely important because it just shows that there is a united front. You know, there are persons like us who are like-minded, who want to see the best for our countries, and that the partnerships are there. You know, the camaraderie is definitely there. So it's just about how do we now expand on it and keep it, keep it moving. So
Yeah.
thank you
So
again for this.
I
Thank
would,
you again for the show.
I want to, on that note, I want to shout out to our media partners, which is Radio Turks and Caicos Island, Chris Jarrett and Damian Wilson,
Mhm.
Channel 82 in Bermuda, Cayman Marwood in the Cayman Islands, CBN Radio in the Virgin Islands, and CBC Channel TV8 in Barbados. And also shout out to my partners on Territories Talk, co-host Shayna Smith Archer of the beautiful Virgin Islands, my cousin, and speaker Shirley Osborne of Montserrat.
Mhm.
And you tune in. We'll be continuing our journey of informing and enlightening our Caribbean family. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.